Welcome to the April 2nd, 2026 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting. We'll go ahead and call the meeting to order at 6:01. We'll start with a roll call. Board Member Scales.
Present.
Board Member Flushauer.
Here.
Board Member Smith.
Present.
Board Member Beams.
Here.
And Board Member Langley, I'm here as well. So next we'll move to citizen comments. This is open for citizens to be heard on any issue or concern. If you would like to speak on a specific item on the agenda, please wait until the citizen comment period for that item. For all citizen comments, please fill out a speaker card and hand it to staff. Come up to the microphone and state your name and address and limit your comments to 2 minutes. And again, we'll have citizen comments for the one item on the agenda too. So this is kind of general comment period for us. All right, are there any citizens that would like to speak to the board at this time? All right, seeing no long line, we'll move forward. So next we'll move to the minutes. Consideration of approval of the March 5th, 2026 meeting minutes. Is there a motion?
I move to approve the minutes.
Motion made by Board Member Scales. Is there a second?
I second.
Second by Board Member Beams. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Or anyone opposed? All right, minutes are approved. Staff announcements.
No announcements. Thank you.
Moving along then, so we've got item number 2. It's going to be a variance request to allow a screened-in porch to encroach 20 feet into the rear yard setback for the property located at 514 Carnview Drive. Staff?
Thank you, and good evening. The subject property is located at 514 Caronview Drive and is zoned PD Plan District. The applicant is proposing a screened-in porch extending from the rear of the existing house on the property. Screened-in porches are considered appurtenances, and appurtenances are permitted to encroach up to 15 feet into the rear setback, but no closer than 15 feet from the lot line. Since the existing house is 25 feet from the rear property line at the proposed location for the screened-in porch, it would be allowed to encroach up to 10 feet into the rear setback at that location. The proposed porch encroaches 20 feet into the rear setback and would be 5 feet from the rear property line. For this reason, the applicant is requesting a variance to allow the screened-in porch to encroach 20 feet into the rear setback. I'll now go into staff analysis. The BZA may authorize a variance only when the request has met all 3 criteria in accordance with state law and the Franklin zoning ordinance. Staff has completed an analysis of the request in light of the 3 criteria. Criteria 1, where by reason of exceptional narrowness, shallowness, or shape of a specific piece of property at the time of the enactment of the zoning ordinance, or by reason of exceptional topographic conditions or other extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions, such a piece of property is not able to accommodate development as required under this ordinance. Staff does not find an exceptional situation that prevents development as required under this ordinance. While the existing house extends up to the rear setback line, a screened-in porch is allowed to encroach into the rear setback. With the distance of the existing house from the rear lot line, an appurtenance could encroach 10 feet into the rear setback at the proposed location in order to be at least 15 feet from the rear lot line. If the porch were designed to be more wide and less deep, the porch could possibly be the same square footage and meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. Staff does not find a condition of the lot preventing a screened-in porch from complying with the zoning ordinance requirements in this case. Staff finds this criteria is not met. Criteria 2, the strict application of any provision enacted under the zoning ordinance would result in peculiar and exceptional practical difficulties for, or exceptional or undue hardship for the owner of the property. Staff does not find that an undue hardship would be caused by the strict application of the zoning ordinance. If the porch were designed to be more wide and less deep, it could meet the requirements of the zoning ordinance. Staff finds this criteria is not met. Criteria 3, such relief may be granted without substantial detriment to the public good and without substantially impairing the purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance. Staff does not find that this request would be a substantial detriment to the public good or substantially impair the intent of the zoning ordinance. The intent of this ordinance is to ensure there is a buffer between appurtenances and neighboring properties and buildings. This property abuts wooded open space to the rear. Seeing as the appurtenance would not be encroaching significantly close to a neighboring residential property, staff finds this would not be a detriment to the public good or impair the intent of the zoning ordinance. Staff finds this criteria is met. Recommended motion. Staff recommends that the Board of Zoning Appeals move to deny the variance request to allow a screened-in porch to encroach 20 feet into the rear setback for the property located at 514 Caronview Drive because the criteria for granting a variance have not all been met. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, staff. Next is the applicant. If you'd like to step forward for us and add any additional comments and maybe help us understand the application beyond what staff presented, that would be helpful.
Yes, absolutely. Hi, I'm Katie Wiles, and this is my husband, Rob Wiles. We're the homeowners at 514 Karen View Drive. Thank you so much for taking the time to hear our request. We're here to request approval for a variance to build a screened-in porch at the rear of our home. I'll briefly walk through the 3 criteria and why we believe this request meets them. First, the exceptional condition. We understand that staff did not find an exceptional condition, but we believe the combination of the home's placement and the shallow rear yard does create one. Because the porch has to be at least 15 feet from the rear property line, we're left with only about 10 feet of buildable depth. That really limits what we can reasonably do with the space. On paper, it might seem like we could just redesign the porch to be wider instead of deeper, but in reality, that option is not feasible. The roof lines and the window placements prevent us from expanding much to the sides, and modifying those elements would require substantial structural changes, introducing drainage and design complications. It would also push the porch closer to our neighbors on either side of our property, which actually creates more impact than what we're proposing. So while there may be a compliant design in theory, it's just not something that can realistically be built without creating new issues. Second, hardship. We also believe strict application of the ordinance creates a real hardship. A compliant porch would be about 10 feet deep, but once you factor in roof overhang, that leaves around 9 feet of usable space. At that size, it's not functional. It wouldn't comfortably fit basic seating or a table. The only way to make it usable would be to go much wider, but that's not feasible with our home's layout, as previously mentioned, and would increase the impact on neighboring properties. In effect, strict compliance would prevent us from creating a reasonable and usable outdoor space. I did some research and I found a comparable case on the portal online. For additional context, there was a similar case last year on August 1st, 2024, at 3025 Nature's Landing Drive, where staff supported a variance because the property only had about 8 feet of buildable space. In our case, we have about 9 feet, so very similar constraints, but that house was viewed differently. Like that case, the space here is too narrow to function as intended. Third, no negative impact. Staff agrees that this request does not create a negative impact, and we agree. Our property backs up to wooded open space rather than another home. The proposed porch does not affect privacy, create crowding, or alter the character of the neighborhood. It maintains the intent of the setback and remains a modest residential improvement. In closing, we're not asking for anything excessive. We're just trying to build a normal, functional screened porch that works within the constraints of our property. The alternative isn't practical. The compliant option isn't usable, and there's no impact on the neighbors, so we respectfully ask for your approval. Thank you so much.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We may have more questions for you. If you'd like to, you're welcome to sit down, and then we'll call you back up probably if we have questions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And if it would help, we do have pictures of the back of the house that would reference the roof line and windows that Katie referenced. Was that included or would it? Okay.
Thank you.
All right, next we'll open the public comment period. Are there any citizen comments? Okay, if you'd like to step forward for us, if you could state your name and address for the record, that'd be great.
Of course. My name is Samuel Fleming. I live at 513 Carn View. I'm the homeowner there. I believe this is an exceptional oversight for the original planning and layout for the neighborhood. If you notice the other areas around the other cul-de-sacs, the corner properties have a peak to them, and this one is flat. It's cut off. And if you walk the property, walk down the sidelines, it's very obvious that it feels clipped off. And I feel like the variance is a little restrictive in that regard. Also, so I live at 513. You walk around the sidewalks, you wouldn't be able to see their porch the way they have it designed. I quite like that because it would fit quite nicely. I know it would encourage into the setback. So For those reasons, I respectfully ask that you guys approve it. I think it's tastefully well-designed, and it's not humongous or anything the way they have it laid out. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And I'll mention too, staff included in the packet, there was a letter of support provided by a citizen, so we did get that as the board as well, mention that. Are there any additional citizen comments? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public comment?
So move.
Motion made by Board Member Smith, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Board Member Scales, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right, so public comment is closed. Questions from the board? Very prepared applicant, we appreciate that.
If I get the homeowners come back up, please. Remind me your name, please.
Katie Wiles.
During your comments, I think you were referencing the first criteria. And you explained to us how widening the screen it would not be feasible. Can you walk me through that again, please?
Yes, so in order to maintain like an appropriate square footage, we would have to build out laterally very significantly. Our proposed design would be about 360 square feet, so that's quite a width to go 10 feet deep. We have large living room windows that are directly to the side of our proposed location, as well as a roof pitch at that location as well. And when we were speaking with the contractors that were designing this proposed property or proposed appurtenance for us, they suggested that they would not alter the roof line there. And they just said it could cause issues with our guttering system and the drainage around our house. On the other side of the porch, it's not very wide at all. And there's also a bedroom window there, and we don't want to cover that for safety reasons.
I believe so.
I have just one comment. In your presentation, as well as your neighbor's presentation, you referenced a porch. This is not a porch, just to confirm.
It's a screened-in porch.
Thanks.
I have a question about the back of your property. So the back of the property backs into some common area, is that correct? Do you know the depth of that common area between you and your neighbor to the back?
It's approximately 170 feet. There was an exhibit that we attached to our original application, and I know that it's noted on there, but I do believe it's 170 feet. It's wooded to the point that you can't really even see the other homes from the spring through when the leaves fall in autumn.
So it's 170 feet of wooded area from the back of your property line to the beginning of the property line of the adjacent property behind you. Is that what you're saying?
It's to their back property line.
Okay.
Yes. And then, it's wooded, and then there is a creek that runs through the middle of that as well, and it's owned by our homeowners association. So, it's common area, but not buildable.
Okay, any additional questions?
Has your homeowners association made any comments about this proposed revision?
No, they haven't at this time. This was the first step before we could speak with them.
Ready to entertain a motion if a board member's ready.
I make a motion to approve the variance request to allow a screen-in porch to encroach 20 feet into the rear setback for the property located at 514 Karen View Drive, because the criteria for granting a variance, in my opinion, has been met, and I'm comfortable with the 170 feet of buffer, that it's not gonna create a problem. And I think the HOA will be fine with it.
Okay, motion for approval made by Board Member Fleischauer. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Board Member Beams. Discussion. I agree with Jeff. I think the lot size, I believe the second citizen that spoke, unique lot size. There are a lot of, there's cul-de-sacs in this subdivision. It is pretty narrow on the back edge. I know as a board, each variance request stands on its own, but we've looked at similar variance requests from an analysis standpoint. There is quite a bit of buffer on the back there, and it may even just looking at this drawing, if that's to scale, we've kind of got a metric down there. I mean, it'd be over 500 feet probably to the back of the lot line from lot line to the next street over. That's a pretty good distance there.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of the things that stood out to me was, again, the lot size, the lot shape, very irregular. Some of the other lots you'll see are pretty wide from front to back that would give you that space you seem to lack now. I think also the fact that what's behind you is wooded area. There's no lot behind you, that creek behind you. It seems that the shape you would satisfy criteria one. And then it does seem that strict application create a hardship because, as you noted, the nature of your home, the nature of the lot. So I do think the criteria have been met.
I agree that I think having the depth of open space behind your house, between you and the neighbor behind, is an exceptional situation per zoning, per the criteria number one. I think that's not typical that we would see in a request necessarily. And also, I do think that having the house built to the zero lot line situation is unique, that you have no buildable space. Also, I think that it was helpful to bring the pictures of the back of your house to see that pitched roof line. Frankly, I came in, having read the material, wondering why you couldn't build it on the back, but that picture worth 1,000 words. It explains very well why you can't build across the back. So I agree. I think all three criteria have been met.
All right, any additional discussion before we take a vote? All right, let's go one by one. Board Member Beams.
I approve.
Board Member Scales.
Approve.
Board Member Langley, I approve. Board Member Smith.
Approve.
And Board Member Fleschauer.
Approved.
All right, so this variance request is approved.
Thank you.
I think that's our
Motion-
only
Motion to
official item, so we're to the end here. Motion made by Jeff to adjourn.
Second to the
Second by
motion to
Board Member
adjourn.
Smith, and all in favor say aye.
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 All right, anyone opposed? I don't think so. So everyone have a great night.